Something that I recommend to my songwriting students, and actually my students in general that are musicians and are wanting to write more or play more, is to think about why they want to play in the first place. And the reason that's really helpful is because, you're going to come across challenges anyway. You're not just going to do this course and magically, your whole career as a musician is fixed or it goes great. There's always going to be challenges in life. But if you can remember why you're playing in the first place, it means that when you go through those harder times, you have that at the core of it all. You have that in your mind at all times. So you can get through those challenges a lot easier. It keeps you inspired. And I think it's important with confidence is to think about how it will help you. So at times when you are suffering a lack of confidence and you think, oh, screw it, why am I even trying? Remember why you're doing it in the first place. Why is it important to you? And you can think about what challenges it may help you to overcome. You can think about the place you'd be if you did have that confidence that you want. You can think about how it would help your music. And remember that you don't have to suffer and suffer to be a great artist. Okay? You can get depression once and know what it's like. You don't have to have depression for 10,000 years. So remember why it will help you. And write that down. There's one last thing actually before you go into Module 3 that I'd like you to think about a little bit. So as you start to try these new ideas and you're listening to speakers, getting different books and things, try not to judge the speaker too much by appearance. Now this is a massive thing that happens with musicians a lot. You have to remember one thing, that what you put out, you get back. Now think about it this way. If you have a big fear that other people are judging you, just think about how much you might be judging other people on a day-to-day basis. Now the best of us, might slip up and do it from time to time. So you might look at someone and judge them for what they're wearing, you instantly, and it's part of having, you need some reaction. You need to be able to judge if you're in fear or not. It comes back to the tribal, your caveman days of having instincts and judging whether something is dangerous or not, that type of thing. But now it's developed in a civilized society to where there's a lot of prejudice, and often it's there unintentionally. So in music, I'll put that in a simple way. If you're putting music down that you don't like, or you're looking at someone and judging them for their appearance, that negativity is going to reverse back to you, and often is why you're feeling so much fear. Whereas if you look at someone that looks totally different to you, but you think about their good things, you feel less insecurity about what they're thinking. So a musician friend that you might know, or you yourself, you might not like long hair. You might think that people with long hair are unkempt, or they just hippies, or they don't know what they're silly or stupid, but the fact is that it's just that, it's here. Okay, you might also not like tattoos, but a tattoo is just that, it's a tattoo. And often there's really great stories behind why people get tattoos, but sometimes it's just because they like the look. But that's the thing, it's not their character, it's on their shell. So I'd like you from now to try and interact with people in a way where you realize that this is their shell and they have their own experiences, and no matter how much that you judge them negatively or talk to them and say they should change, your opinion is perhaps not going to change them totally. The way that they can change is usually through you being an example. And to be a good example, if you can judge less, helps you get a bit of strength too. So just as you're doing this course, just take that into consideration and try and judge a little less on appearance. wanted to show you a musical example because we're all musicians. So one thing that you can use visualizing for is actually hitting notes. And this is a great one for singers and vocalists. Same thing, right? So if you go, you might be singing the 1-3-5 of a scale, or just try, for someone that's not interested in theory at all, just think of it as you're trying to hit notes. And often, you get close but a bit shaky. You're not quite getting there. What you can do is visualize the note before you attempt it. So in other words, and you can use your instrument, so you close your eyes and actually play the note, but instead of just jumping in and trying to sing it, you really listen to it first. And then once you're comfortable, you don't rush, just take your time. Once you're comfortable with it, start locking into it. And then for the second note, so then you have the two notes, and if you're a bit shaky like I was, you listen to it a bit more first. So I'm not the best singer in the world, but you can see it does help a wee bit. So try visualizing when you're trying to hit notes when you're singing or when you're playing a scale on an instrument. Okay, now that you've done that and you've got an idea, okay, this is what I'm fearing and it's been holding me back for so long, now I'm going to give you some ideas and some things that you can look into that can help you to eliminate that and to change things for the better. The first thing is to support others more. And this is a biggie. In the music industry, especially if your desire is to be a professional musician, or if you have been a professional musician for a while, you'll understand that things come up, okay? Other people can try and destroy what you're doing because of their fear. Challenges are endless, to be honest, with music, so you'll find that you're always going to have obstacles that you have to overcome or learn from. And one of the ways that you can do this is to support others more. And often, I'll be at a seminar and someone will say, well, I didn't get funded, I didn't get money for this video, or yeah, but no one supports us in our town. And the first question I'll ask them is, well, what are you doing for the industry? You want the music industry to help you, but what are you actually doing for it? And if you're just sitting there bitching about everything else, nothing's probably going to happen for you. So think about how you can help people from a genuine place, not just because you want things for you, but how can you help others in the music community? And how can what you have learned help others? How can you share with others your experiences? Because chances are you can help people with that. And what that does is that turns your pains or things that have happened that haven't been so great into learning experiences for you as well, which is a really good thing. So list down some ways that you can start to support others more with your music. I've missed over 9,000 shots in my career. I've lost nearly 300 games. 26 times I've been trusted to take the game-winning shot and missed. I've failed over and over and over again in my life, and that is why I succeed. That's my favourite quote, and it's by Michael Jordan, who is not a musician as far as I know. Of course, a very famous and well-deserving basketball player, sports person. But I love that quote because it sums it up. He's failed over and over, and that's why he succeeds. One, because he learns from the mistake, but two, because he keeps going despite those challenges. Quotes are really great because they're great reminders of things that work, of things that have worked for people, and they inspire you. If you want, they resonate with you too, because they're just short little pearls of wisdom, really. I just think they're awesome. To get the right quote, it just sticks in your mind. Another one that I really love is by Earl Nightingale, and he was a great speaker and author, and he said that instead of competing, all we have to do is create. And I think especially for musicians that are professionals in a very dog-eat-dog industry, it's a great way of thinking, because if you're always competing with everyone else, that's what you're going to feel all the time, and it's just a rat race, and it goes nowhere. Whereas if you're doing it for the love of it and you're creating things, people can't wreck you. They can't stop what you're doing because you're creating. If you're competing with them, they can get above you or claw at you or break, But if you're just creating for the love of it and you're helping people, no one can touch you, and it's all good. So instead of competing, all we have to do is create, especially as musicians. My third favourite quote of all time is from Mahatma Gandhi. And now, that's an unexpected source. It's not a musician, but wisdom doesn't always have to come from musicians, right? So he said, you have to be the change that you wish to see in the world. And again, as a musician, I think that hits home, because you might want to travel as a musician, or you might want to play overseas. Unless you actually take action on that, it's not going to happen. I mean, you can desire it all you want at your home. You can think about it day in, day out. But unless you make that happen, and you really can't afford to wait for this magic person that turns up, or you're waiting for the right manager, or you want the right agent. It doesn't work like that. You have to do it yourself, and you create that reality. So you must be the change that you wish to see. See if you can find your own quotes that inspire you. They may be from sports stars, but they may be from musicians as well. Just let them be reminders of the greatness that you can achieve, because you can, and the right way of thinking is so important. Okay, so write down 3 of your favorite quotes that you can use to inspire you.